Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Red Apple Audio Network's Walter Sterling, another side of midnight, and it begs the question, how many sides of midnight are there? But I digress. Michael Harrison is the publisher, owner of Talkers magazine, talkers.com. Now, let me explain what that is. In the radio industry, there are talk show hosts like me who are obsessed with themselves. And this is a publication that lets them read about themselves and the latest updates on the activities of the industry. But the good news for you is that your interest in talk radio is obvious. You can learn about the industry, get the news of the industry for free right now. Just go to talkers.com and subscribe, and you get it for free. And then you can be a yenta about talk radio. Michael Harrison is an existentialist, an expert on all the things that we really care about: the universe, dimensions, Bigfoot, UFOs, UAPs. I don't know what UAP stands for. Dimensional aberrations and time adjustments and visual.
Wow.
I know. And virtual
You're
reality.
you're giving me credit for things that I hardly even know what they mean. You know what's really funny, Walter? When you introduced me, when you started that lovely introduction, thank you, by the way. You said another side of midnight, and then you said, how many sides of midnight are there?
Yeah.
And exactly one fraction of a second before you said that, in my mind, in the caverns of my mind, I thought the same exact thing. How many sides of midnight are there? And then you said, how many sides of midnight?
It is my ability. It is my ability to plug into the zeitgeist of the moment that has made me an effective, I did not say great, but an effective talk show host.
Well, you know how they say there's a glitch in the matrix?
There is.
You've heard that expression.
But there is.
And that it happens all the time.
Yes.
And you know, it's like we're living in a movie that we saw it once before, and you see things that, you know, there's a director at work here. What's causing all this? But it comes down to, are there such a thing, or is there such a thing as coincidence? And I guess the glitch in the matrix idea that we're living in some type of a simulation, some type of a virtual reality, if you will, that is not what we think it is, and that it's contrived. It's either by God or some strange advanced alien teenager playing a video game in his garage. But there's something that just ain't kosher about the whole thing. And I find that to be pretty amazing. Do you notice these things happening when you go through your day, that something will, you know, the old thing, you think of a person and they call you, or you're listening to the radio and you're thinking of a song and boom, the song comes on?
Yes. Throughout my life, I dreaded the week before Thanksgiving, because the week before Thanksgiving is either when the very best news of my year will arrive or the very worst news of my year will arrive, and they are all unannounced, but it is that week. That is my killer week, good or bad. But also, from the time before COVID, the year before COVID till today, I believe we went through a time shift, that the perception of time changed dramatically. And it could have been because of the isolation brought on by COVID, or it could have been coincidental. But I believe that our perception of time has shifted. My ability, maybe your ability to say, okay, well, what day is this? What month is this? What year is this? Has changed. It used to be very good. Now it is not so good. I feel, is this fall? Is this spring? I have to think about these things. And I don't have any other mental issues I'm aware of other than being a host. Yes, but I believe this has changed. And then I go online, and then I read articles about how thousands of people have felt the same shift in time.
It's very possible. I tell you, what you're saying resonates with me. I too have found my perception of time. In terms of knowing what time it is, having an idea how long something is, how short something is, how quickly the week goes. All of a sudden it's Thursday, and you say, wait a second, it was Monday. Where did Tuesday and Wednesday go? Or sometimes not even knowing on Wednesday. I hate to admit this. I'm still getting along, but sometimes I don't know what day it is.
Exactly.
And you know, it's in some ways it's embarrassing to admit. In other ways, it's a fascinating topic because we might actually be plugged into something very real. We don't understand at all what time is. Time is a mystery that, to use a cliche that's very popular, it's hard to wrap your brain around time and its relationship with space. But this whole thing about the Matrix and virtual reality and you know, what is real. As a student of media, and I think you'll find this fascinating because you've been a student of media and we both know each other since we were students. It seems the goal of media, meaning professional media, microphones, record players, telephones, you know, television, headphones, the role of media has been slowly but surely to recreate reality, which we now call virtual reality. And we're just on the verge of that, where the brain operates as a computer enhancement machine. Whatever the latest form of media that we are experiencing seems to be better than anything we could possibly imagine. You know, it's like you mentioned, I think last week on your show, something about they used to mix records in the studio so that they could be heard optimally on a small little radio, on a transistor radio.
Right.
And when we used to listen to those little transistor radios, it sounded like a symphony. It sounded like it filled the space. And then you listen to it now, and oh my gosh, it's horrible. Black and white movies were very normal. I thought there was a dimension of reality that was in black and white. And now, of course, kids who are not used to it, they can't even watch black and white television or movies. It doesn't feel right to them. And do you remember when hi-fi first came along?
Yes.
How
yes.
real it sounded totally real. And then stereo, that sounded real. Quadraphonic didn't work because we don't have four ears. You don't need to have four speakers to make it real. But headphones, listening to Dark Side of the Moon, which should be called Far Side of the Moon. People used to listen in headphones and, you know, enhance themselves with chemicals that might not have been legal at the time. I have come to the conclusion that we're eventually going to reach a point where the fake reality is more real than the real reality. And none of us are going to ever want to come out of our cocoons. You know, that's probably why we don't run into any civilizations out there. You know, the Fermi paradox that I talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Well, what's interesting, go ahead.
Yeah, they don't want to go anywhere.
The interesting thing about virtual reality, the putting that mask on your face, is that it is not popular. It has not been embraced. It is a fringe group of people that are able to use it or enjoy it. There was a great belief that this would be the new technology, the new amusement, the how you spend your time. Instead, for too many people, it caused them to walk around the room and break lamps.
Yeah, because it's a faulty technology. It's like when we had 8 tracks and we thought they were the coolest thing, when a long song would stop in the middle. It would stop in the middle because it didn't fit the casing, and then you had to go find a new place on the 8-track where your song picked up, if it even did. It was a faulty technology. But the faultiness is having to wear the damn headphones and the eye visor and all of that. But if they were able to have something plugged directly into your brain, where it went right into the olfactory lobe and you could smell, or it went into the optical lobe and you could see, or the auditory nerve and you in the brain, and you could hear as if it were real, but even more real than your bad eyes can bring in, more real than your worn out tongue could taste, or your shaky old ears can pick up. And it was simply inserting a chip in your brain or taking a pill, and not walking around with a visor that makes you nauseated because it's not quite accurate, I think people would turn to that in a second.
I don't think people are going to allow chips to be put in their brains. And the reason I don't think that's going to work is, I know this will sound strange, because of the video and the photos of the self-driving cars going up on the curbs and going over the cliffs. And wait, it's the same company? It's the same inventor? I think there's a problem right there. I think the problem's right there. Well, wait a minute. You couldn't, the car can't park itself. Why am I going to put something in my brain?
In other words, you don't trust technology. You don't trust it.
No, I do. I have a 14-speed blender. But when you go beyond that, I think it always has to be done on a case-by-case basis. Remember, the first time, this is true, the Cadillac Sedan DeVille was the first car that had cruise control. A 1962 Sedan DeVille had cruise control. Well, the problem was that it was electromechanical. And the mechanical part, it was a dial, a physical dial. And, gee, sometimes it got stuck, and it got stuck at 80, and it took a couple of years for that to come out again. But once they got it right, then it was embraced. And I think that's true of technology in general. Once they get it right, but there's no proof that it's right yet.
No. And the very, very leading edge of any technology is not usually right away. So it depends on where you are. What do they call it? Early adapters, late adapters, or adopters and adapters. And I still haven't gotten that one straight.
It's all right.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. It's an SAT problem. It's all right. You didn't do well on the SAT, would be my guess. What were your SAT scores, by the way?
I don't remember, but I remember that they were just good enough for me to be able to get into college.
No, tell them which college, because it has a great program.
Oh, Hofstra. I went to Hofstra.
You went to Hofstra, which in my opinion there are 2 or 3 great audio media programs in America, and that's absolutely one of them. They do a spectacular radio job. God bless them for believing in radio. I know of other schools that could possibly be at Syracuse that actually believe there's no interest from students in being in radio, just no interest, and therefore.
Now if we're talking media, you're pressing a button.
Yeah, but let me finish. Let me finish. Stop.
Go ahead.
Finish. At Syracuse, they have a TRF curriculum. Television, radio, film. Television, radio, film. Today, there is not one radio course in that curriculum.
Oh.
And you're on the board. Tell us about the Hofstra board.
Oh, well, I'm on the Dean's Advisory Board in the Communication Department at Hofstra. I have been there for years. And one of the conversations we have is, what do young people going into media for a career and going to college for it, what do they need to know? What do they need? Do they need to learn radio? Is radio going to be around? Or what is radio? I mean, these are great discussions. Fortunately, because my love for radio is both emotional and practical. I think radio is important, and we could talk for hours about that. We won't. But there's some people who believe radio is, over. And then you come to the discussion: is radio an aesthetic, or is radio actually a practical tool that we will continue to use, or is it an art form, or is it a hurricane lamp? What is it?
Yeah,
but that's an issue that we deal with. That's an issue that we talk about.
Well, I'm on the Dean's Advisory Board at the Newhouse School, and I started sitting in those meetings saying, "Where's the R? What do you mean television, radio, film? Where the hell is the R? Probably a good idea to have an R in the television, radio, film." And they actually believed that there was no interest among the students in a radio curriculum. And I said, well, then there's no interest in students in earning money. And they go, what? What are you talking about? I said, do you understand the highest paid on-air talent, radio or TV or film, is a radio star? And you understand that the highest paid programmer is not the guy who's programming the Discovery Channel or NBC. It is the person programming Sirius. And that I promise you, in any given city, any local city, I bet you anything, the highest paid account executive, salesperson, is a radio salesperson, not the Nexstar television person who's making 45.8.
Well, do you think that radio is suffering? Because the stats prove that radio still is viable on just about every level: number of listeners, number of outlets, money, all of that. Do you think that radio suffers from a psychological problem that maybe I call it screenus envy?
No, here's what it suffers. No, it's way too falutin. Here's what it is. It's much simpler. Radio is so successful that it is ubiquitous. You get in your car, you turn on the radio. You walk into a retail store, the radio's on in the background. You go to work, the radio's on. Radio is everywhere. It's ubiquitous and therefore invisible and therefore never top of nine, never front and center. That's what it is. It's overwhelming success and ease of free distribution there's no such thing as internet free distribution. You got to buy $1,000 computer. You got to waste $100 a month for internet, and you have to get software that makes it work. And then you got to ask the 14-year-old how to get rid of buffering now.
It's hard to find a radio too in the stores. I mean, I wish
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane? Good luck finding a radio set. Good luck finding a radio. Hey, listen. So this is Michael Harrison. I am grateful for the time and the thoughts that you have shared today. It's talkers.com. Go there, subscribe, sign up, free, not sort of free, not free for 3 months. No, it's just free.
Yeah, no catches.
And Michael created it, and now we've learned he's on the Dean's Advisory Board at Hofstra.
And now we've learned that you better tell the folks in Syracuse what they need to do fast.
Well, as you can see how much impact I have. Red Apple Audio Networks, Another Side of Midnight with Walter Sterling and Michael Harrison. Thank you.